Well, Johnny Grylls in Huntsville is facing backlash after one of their Facebook posts went viral. The owner says that local and state leaders are not allowed to eat at the restaurant because of the new mask ordinance. Our Kelly Kennedy has that story.
There's been a constant flow of customers going in and out of Johnny Grylls here in Huntsville. I spoke to the owner who didn't want to go on camera. He says that his employees are following the mandatory mask order even though he doesn't agree with it. And despite the backlash, he's standing by his Facebook post. It was posted yesterday in response to Alabama's mandatory mask order. Owner Mike Heffelfinger stated in the post, "These orders create unnecessary stress, liability, and physical, mental, and financial burdens on the restaurant and its employees." He listed multiple people banned from his restaurant, including Mayor Tommy Battle and State Health Officer Dr. Scott Harris. A lot of people do not agree with the post.
It's irresponsible to say something like that during a global pandemic. It's disappointing being a business owner, and part of it's just because we all have our own part in our responsibility in this pandemic, so it's definitely disappointing to hear that.
However, many people are in favor of Johnny Grylls taking this stance.
All these masks and mandatory stuff, which I don't make sense, is because the government doesn't provide masks, and it's really they making you do something that people should have their own choice against.
If you know of a business refusing to follow the mask mandate, you can report it. The city of Huntsville says they work with the Alabama Department of Public Health to ensure complaints are followed up on.
We would check up on those stores, make sure that they are following a masking policy and that they understand the masking policy. And then if necessary, if we have 2 or 3 calls, we'll go out and we'll do checks on them. Sometimes it's the Huntsville police who are doing checks. Sometimes it's the Alabama Department of Public Health if they have a food permit. So everybody's trying to follow up just to make sure that everybody's following the rules.
The Madison County Health Department can force a restaurant to close if they do not comply. To report a restaurant, you can call the health department at 256-533-8726. Putting the Valley first, Kelly Kennedy, WZDX News.